Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome back to Heroes in the Mist, a 5th edition Curse of Strahd based Ravenloft Dungeons and Dragons game. When last we left, 2 of our 3 heroes were unconscious, one of them was deceased, and one of them was dragging the rest out into the streets of a quiet little village. As the unconscious ones are dragged across the kind of weed-ridden yard and into the cobblestone streets, the doors from the house that they had been holed up in and being terrorized by for so long slammed shut. And who was still conscious?
I believe that was Ames.
Just me.
It was just you. So what do? You've got your 2 associates here unconscious. You've just seen one of your other friends perish, and you're in a strange town. Everything is kind of dead quiet around you. You hear maybe like 1 or 2 dogs barking in the distance, and through the streets, which are relatively clear but not there's a little bit of a mist but not nearly what it was, you hear like a distant sobbing. It is so quiet that somebody crying 3 or 4 blocks away is still audible to you.
Don't look at me, I'm dead.
I hide the 2 in the bushes because they're not moving anytime soon.
Hide the bodies. Yes. Okay. Do you do it in the same house? Do you look for one across the street, or what? Now these things are all pretty much like a collection of row houses and townhouses. A lot of them are quite tall, but they are mostly in the 2 to 3 story range. The one that you would just come from is actually a little bit taller than the one surrounding it. What you can see in terms of when you look around, some of them have like scraggly weeds and grass in the front lawn. There are a couple with kind of almost skeletal bushes pressed up against the front of the house, kind of just mostly masses of dry leaves and twigs. As you look out south, you can see the intersection where you arrived and where the children led you along the street. To the north, the road takes a turn to the left, and beyond the houses there, a couple of which are actually larger in terms of width than the one you're looking at, you see open fields, and beyond them in the distance, forests rising up on a mountainside. Other than that, you look to be at the very edge of a fairly dense little village.
Which direction does the sobbing come from?
Okay, the sobbing seems to be coming from the west somewhere, though you're not entirely sure. But it's kind of echoing back and forth, and it sounds like a woman sobbing. And it's like sometimes you can hear it, and sometimes it's just on the edge of hearing. So it's pretty distant.
If I'm gonna get help, I have to go into town. So I'll just hide them in the yard we were just at.
Okay, you drag them up back towards the house.
Not towards the house, in the yard.
In the yard, yeah. Well, the yard's only maybe a few. It's not huge. It's like a European style yard where you've got like maybe, or I think a British style yard where you only got like maybe 10 feet of yard, if that. Most of which is occupied by the steps and the wall.
Keep in mind, I'm 8 feet tall, and with my gear, I weigh 510 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes me a while to drag you around.
Yeah.
Now, as you look around, you do see a few hand carts in poor repair, kind of scattered in some of these yards, like somebody had once used them to take objects to market long, long ago. A lot of the houses are boarded up.
I'll go see if I can find a handcart that's
Okay.
Sturdy enough to carry the 2 people.
All right. You let him be for now. You head down the road looking for a hand cart. It does not take you long before you find a rickety hand cart in front of a building, maybe 3 down, just near the corner where you first entered. In fact, it's near enough that you can see that the eastern road, whence you came from, leads completely out of the village and off through fields up to a distant forest, while to the west the same road leads deeper in amongst buildings, with another road or 2 branching off from it as you go further on. And so you get the handcart.
When I get the handcart, I sit in the back and see if it'll handle a little bit of weight.
It'll handle your weight, yeah.
Jump in it. I mean, just try and jump on it. So
there and you jump. How much do you weigh?
With equipment, let me see.
Yeah, with equipment. I'm assuming that you're jumping with the equipment on.
Yeah, because I want to see if it'll handle Java.
Keep in mind, I ate a pretty big breakfast this morning.
Just like every other morning.
Well, big boy's got to eat.
That's part of being a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Eat breakfast. Yeah, yesterday I was able
Okay, I'm just a little over 300 pounds with all equipment.
Okay, so you get into the cart, you jump up and down a bit. It holds your weight, although you can hear it cracking and creaking with each impact that you jumped up and down on. It's also not terribly stable with nobody holding it, so you have to be kind of careful unless you fall out and bust your ass.
And if
I
you
was
die,
doing like
we're
a butt jump.
screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I take it back and hopefully it'll handle the weight a little bit.
Okay, so you go ahead and you wheel it back to the others. Bellic, you've got no problem getting them into the cart. Javak takes a little bit of work, but I'm presuming that you can just manage to force him in, especially if you take his gear off, dump him in, and then dump his gear on top. But yeah, you get both of them kind of laying in the cart together there.
I can just see my one leg dangling out of the end and like skittering along the cobblestones as we go.
Yeah, Javak's pretty much longer than that cart is.
His head's on up near where I pull, resting on the side, and his legs are dangling, almost probably dragging on the cobblestones.
Yeah. So, where do you want to take them?
Towards the village, see if I can find anybody
deeper into the village. You head south towards the intersection, and then I presume west, deeper into the village.
Yes.
As you go through the streets, you see the occasional dog. From time to time, you see pallid faces peering out from half-shuttered windows, only to have them snap shut if they notice you looking in their direction. Most of the buildings are a very similar structure. They look worse for wear. It looks like it was once a fine village, but has seen many, many years of neglect. You proceed about as far down the main street as the house that you had just cleared was, and then you see a road going to the north, which in your sight also curves a little bit off to the northwest. And then further on to the west, you see a square, like an open clearing. And that's very near to where we're hearing the sobbing. It's getting louder. But you also see 2 structures. One of them is a heavily curtained building, a big red tile roof. It's got a sign over the door that creaks on its hinges, just basically stating that it is Bildrath's Mercantile. Even though it's daytime, it is dim enough that there apparently needs to be lights within, because the light spills from that doorway into the street. Whereas you don't see the entryway but you see a larger building in the northeastern part of that same square, kind of towering over the other buildings. Looks like some sort of tavern. And a single shaft of light kind of thrusts forth from the half-open door into the main square. You can hear kind of like a hustle and bustle of conversation about what you'd expect from a tavern, although it's somewhat subdued, as if this place does not see a lot of visitors.
Okay, I head towards the square. Does the lady sound like she's past the mercantile or before the mercantile?
When you get to the square, you can hear that sobbing echoing from the south, just past the mercantile place, and then you can also see that it is indeed a tavern to the northwest or to the northeast, and that there is a sign proclaiming it to be the Blood on the Vine Tavern, although an N has been scratched over where it used to be Blood of the Vine Tavern.
That does not sound good. All decisions up to me.
Yep, you're the only one conscious. Everybody's lives are in your hands. Well, except for Hannibal's.
Yeah.
I first head towards the tavern.
Okay. You wheel the cart in towards the tavern. Now at this point, you see just in front of the tavern a kind of swarthy, a darker skinned man kind of swaggering up towards the tavern. He's clad in brilliant multicolored silks, with a bandana over his head. Just walks in like he owns the place, and through the door you see mostly empty tables, although a few have a few people on them. There is not a lot of space in front of the tavern, although there's ample room for a hand cart and its occupants.
Okay. I tempt. Did the guy just walk in?
Yeah, he just walked in, pushed the door open, and he's inside.
That's for me to say something to see if he'd stop.
You can shout at him, but he was like as you come into view, that's as he's walking in.
Okay. So he's already in by the time I got close enough to actually talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like basically you just caught up in time to see him do that.
Okay, I go up to the tavern and then go. Once I get there,
Okay. Where do you leave the cart?
right beside the entry.
Just right beside the entry. Okay. All right, you head on inside. The interior of the building is about.
Stand in the doorway. and
Okay,
look
just at the doorway. The interior of the building is about 60 foot square. You can see this is once a finely appointed tavern, but is, like the rest of the town, grown shoddy over the passing years. It may have been here for decades. It looks like an rather ancient tavern. There is a blazing fire in the hearth, which is lit even during the day. It gives very, very little warmth to ward off the overall gloom of the area. There's a few huddled souls within. There's a barkeep, 3 fellows that are dressed like the fellow that you just watched enter, and in fact you recognize him as one of those people. There is a man sitting by himself in the corner, and another who is a rather bedraggled looking fellow who is sitting in another corner.
How close is the bar to the door?
The bar is across the room from the door. The barkeep doesn't even look up. He's just kind of in a monotonous wipe the bar, clean the glasses, wipe the bar, clean the glasses, with kind of a 1,000-yard stare. The three men dressed in brightly colored garb do look up at you and then just look back to what they were doing.
How close is the nearest person?
The nearest person is sitting at a table kind of near a corner, and this is where we get Tiberius to describe what Haynes sees.
I'm up? Okay,
Yes,
I'm up.
yes.
Sitting at a character. Okay, that was a terrible botch. Yeah, sitting at a character.
All right. So, what does Haynes see when he regards you?
Sitting at a table? Depends on what he's looking for. I mean, he knows Jovak is
Just
certainly from the country.
yeah.
But this character, a little more so. It's kind of hairy. He's got one of those beards. A beard that doesn't say, I'm a stylish hipster, but I've been out in the woods for a while, maybe in the mountains. But he's also dressed clearly like he means business. He's wearing leather armor. He's got a wooden shield strapped to his back. And it looks like there's a sword somewhere around there. He's an interesting character, at least. He's certainly not Barovian. He doesn't have that terrified 1,000-yard stare. He's not huddled in a corner, and he's definitely not a ghost. He is, however, fumbling with Flask.
Hey, you.
Is it obvious you're saying hey you to him? Sorry, I'm just being a jerk there.
Hey, you. I say to the
Yeah.
guy sitting at the
Ah.
table.
That is your answer.
You know where I can find a room to rent?
I ain't into that. I don't know. I ain't gonna judge you or anything, but yeah.
Clearly, you're not local.
Well, no. What made you think that?
You're nearest. Hey, can you watch the door? I have some friends outside that aren't too happy right now. I need to talk to the bartender.
All right, I'll take a look. I'll look after your friend. I'll see what's up.
Remember, if you touch anything, you're...
Of course, he's going to go outside and see a pile of unconscious friends in a wheelbarrow.
He sees two unconscious fellows in a handcart.
The
One of them
Goliath snores like a jackhammer, by the way.
much larger than you've seen in quite some time.
I wouldn't wake them, by the way. They might get irritated.
Yeah, I've had to sleep off a few parties myself. I understand. Don't you worry.
I also would kind of want to point out that Haynes, who seemed like at one point he was trying to be a little bit threatening there, probably looks like he's on his last legs too.
Yeah, he is. He looks like he's been through the ringer as well. All right, so as Tiberius moves to the door, as Scooter moves to the door, what does Haynes do?
I'll buy you a beer if you just make sure nobody else messes with my friends.
Well, he's going to spend a moment. I'm going to spend a moment. No. He's going to spend a moment actually looking at those friends. Are they sleeping off a bender, or are they like clearly bleeding?
I've had the shit beaten out of me.
Yeah, they've got like big claw marks on them. Their gear is in need of repair in some instances, just because they've been gashed. Not sure how Bellic looks, but I believe it's kind of similar. There's like visible bruising from where they got hit by trees.
Well, they're in luck. because, and your friend looking like they have some trouble here. You want me to try healing him a little bit? I mean, I got a few cure wounds on me. I always do, just for good measure. But I think they're leaking blood all over the place. And it's hard to get out.
What gave you the first clue? Was the blood dripping out of the cart or off my sleeves?
Well, if you're going to be sarcastic, I don't have to.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're going to cast first on Jobak and then on... Wait, my brain just failed me. I almost said Haynes. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Oh,
I'd be third.
You got, yeah. Let's go ahead and give me a moment. I did not have the dice thing up. So you've got 1 cure wounds. Whoever was healed first gets 11 hit points back.
Yeah,
Whoever
that's
he was healed, and as Java gets 11 hit points back.
Awesome.
And then Bellic gets 7 back. And
I will
during
take
this
it.
all, since you are still in the tavern, Haynes,
Doorway.
in the tavern doorway, you see one fellow, one of the other fellows sitting alone, just basically watching you and Tiberius's little display outside with great interest. He's clad in dark clothes like the typical Barovian, but he does not look as run down as the rest. His gaze is sharp and interested, basically, wanting to see what you're doing.
So am I
I
conscious at this
step
point?
outside and close the door, blocking the view.
All right, Haim steps outside, and at this point, Javak and Bellic, yes, you wake up.
And
Oh.
they'll spot the really rangy-looking druid just drinking from the flask the same way I was drinking that iced tea.
I'm gonna
Rise and
eye
shine,
the
wakey,
druid
wakey, eggs and
suspiciously.
bacon.
Who the hell are you?
My
Some
name's
guy that
Tiberius. I'm Tiberius Cooter, Esquire. Scooter, sorry, I got through.
Well, Mr. Cooter.
Druid,
See,
And-
we've been
And-
through a lot, and I
and
need a
thus-
drink.
Where's the... What?
It's cool, Bellic. We're okay. I'm gonna get up out of the cart. I'm going to walk past everyone and walk into the tavern straight to the bar. With
And
my
so-
gear.
my own heart.
And so Javak stands up, goes directly into the bar while Bellic's still getting his shit together. And what do Hames and Tiberius do as Javak is proceeding through the bar?
When Bellic gets out, I grab Javak's gear and go inside with him.
I took my gear with me.
Yeah, just kind
Okay.
of shouldered over his rucksack.
Just making sure, because you hadn't said that, so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, just making sure nothing's left in the cart, basically.
Bingo!
All
I'm
right.
going to stay outside for the moment and probably still in the cart and sit there and take stock of my current situation.
All right. So make sure you're not actually in hell, since the first thing you did see was Tiberius.
Hey, Tiberius, you got any more of those spells?
All right.
Well, I could spare another heal. I guess you feel like I need it?
Yes, please. Oh, I add another beer to that.
All right. Here
All right.
you go.
And
Don't
as
get your ball
Tiberius,
twisted.
as Tiberius is healing Hames, and he can go ahead and make his roll, Javak heads in and steps across the room. He sees much the same as the others did. The 3 people in brightly colored garb. They do take a second look at Javak because he is so much taller than the average individual in town.
And covered
Although
in
they-
blood.
Yeah, they do go back to their game. The sharp-looking fellow does watch Javak move. His brow is raised. He looks taken aback as well, although he does not have that kind of dour, you should all perish kind of expression that they may have come to recognize from all the peeking faces in the windows.
I give the
Although-
sharp-eyed fellow a really mean, glowering look as I sit down at the bar.
He raises a brow at that, but makes no movement towards you just yet.
Smart man.
As you sit at the bar, the bartender, who is a pudgy middle-aged man, kind of continues wiping glasses clean. As you look, you you're pretty sure he's been wiping the same area of bar and the same 3 glasses since you walked in.
Right.
And he just basically stares off past you without saying a single thing.
So he's making absolutely no move to actually serve me alcohol.
Right, he's just kind of staring past. In fact, he may not even be aware that you've sat down because he's been staring at the same point in the distance for the entire time that you've been walking towards the bar.
Well, this is a problem. I'm going to knock my knuckles on the bar and be like,
When you do that, he speaks in a hollow voice. Small glass of wine, 1 copper. Pitcher of wine, 1 silver.
got anything else?
Small glass of wine, 1 copper. Pitcher of wine, 1 silver.
I give him 2 silver.
I'm just going to take another drink out of my flask.
When you set 2 silver down, he nods just once. Says, "Thank you kindly, sir." And he turns around, kind of shuffles over to the rack behind the bar, and you see many, many bottles of the same wine.
That's all they have.
And it's the same vintage all the way across. And he picks up 2 bottles, and he turns around, and he shuffles back towards you and sets them down in front of you.
I give him a very strange look, grab the bottles, and walk right back out.
He turns to return to cleaning the same 3 glasses and the same section of the bar.
I look
As
at
you
Bellic.
rise,
Okay, sorry.
as you rise and you start heading back towards the corner, you see the darkly clad man that had been watching you rise as well, though he doesn't immediately follow.
Give him the same look I gave him the first time, and then I'm going to head outside.
All right, then you head outside to join the others.
First thing I'm going to do is hold one of the bottles out to Bellic.
At this point, I have finally determined that I'm not missing any important parts.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit more together. I'll take the bottle from Javik. Thank you. And
I fucking hate this town. And then I'm going to upend the bottle and just polish it off. It's gone.
Okay. The wine's not particularly good, but it's not particularly bad either. It's almost as if it was once a fine vintage, but the entire, like all the joy in life had been drained from this stuff.
It's got alcohol in it, though, right?
It's got just enough alcohol.
Perfect. Alright, I'm going to toss the empty bottle into the cart.
Okay. You all hear this continuous like sobbing from just down the street to the south.
That doesn't even
what-
remotely surprise me.
Yeah, and
I'd be sobbing too if I lived here.
Oh, by the way, there's a lady sobbing somewhere over there.
Yeah.
There's a merchant over there.
yeah.
Well, with only one
Tiberius.
vintage of wine at the
Tiberius.
bar, I can tell why she'd be
And-
crying.
Tiberius,
the
what
sorrow
are you doing?
Remind
Yeah.
me of Hannibal, and so I say we should probably have a moment of silence for Hannibal.
I've
Okay.
had many.
All right.
It kills my mood even further. I'm in now the worst possible mood.
All right. And Tiberius, this is the first you've seen of this group. Seems like a bunch of downers, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's gonna look at them for a bit. Nothing. Seemed like y'all had a bad day. I can tell these things.
I'm
You know
gonna
there's not
glare at Tiberius with all the fury of an angry, blood-caked, mildly buzzed Goliath.
You know,
And
a
I'm
lot
just
of
gonna
people.
point a finger at him, and I'm just gonna go, shh. And we're gonna have our moment of silence.
Okay. All right. As you have that moment of silence, the door to the tavern opens, and that one Barovian, he's actually got lighter hair than the rest of these Barovians, but he's still clearly Barovian. Takes a step out on the porch. He's clad in a black doublet, snug trousers. He's got a sword belted at his side, but he doesn't interrupt, seeing everybody's quiet. He does, however, lean against the side of the door and wait.
Okay. For the sake of brevity, we will assume that the moment of silence has passed. I will turn and look at him and expectantly wait for him to speak.
I do the same.
Okay. All right. When he notices that you're all kind of looking at him, he nods once and says, "You are new to the village, I take it. I hate to interrupt, and it looks like you've had quite a bit of trouble getting yourselves here. I fear this is not an unusual circumstance for travelers to our village. However, I am in need of some strong sword arms. If you have a moment to discuss a potential job offer, I will be inside with more wine if you wish. My name
What about a
is
place to clean
Ismark.
up?
My name is Ismark, and yes, I can provide a place to clean up."
You've got my attention.
Does not. We can speak out here, or I honestly would prefer to head inside out of the range of any ears that might be listening. And he looks around, and even though the streets are nearly empty, you can clearly tell that it is so quiet, like any conversation would just carry.
Let's head inside then.
Well, I guess I'm
All
signed
right.
up with y'all now. All right.
You don't have to come, but we would like you just because we still need some healing.
Well, I guess I could just sit here and wait for you to come limping back, or I could follow and maybe keep you off. Absent. And he takes another drink.
All right. So you guys
Okay,
let Tiberius...
Yeah, Tiberius helped us. Javik's gonna look back and just sort of like wave him along. I mean, he did bring Javik from the brink of death, so he is somewhat indebted to him. And since honor is one of my personality traits, I abide by it.
Oh, yes. And so you go ahead and head on in. Now, Ismark leads the group back to a corner table. While you are following Ismark, the three brightly colored men, the three with the bright silks and the headscarves and everything, do take note of your presence and your association with the fellow, and do watch a little bit longer before going back to their drinks. They're a little bit more muted and quiet now, as if they didn't want to be overheard. Ismark does gesture to the seats around a table in the corner. He produces a couple more bottles of wine, and there are already a few glasses set forth. He
Okay.
waits for everybody to have a seat as he takes his own seat.
So, quick order of operations for me. I'm going to
Okay.
sit down. I'm going to light my pipe, my trinket pipe that makes the cool skulls out of smoke when I puff on it.
And I'm just going to get another drink.
And I'm going to grab another one of those bottles. I'm going to rip the cork out with my teeth, and I'm going to probably take only half the bottle and drink that.
All right.
Now, you see, the thing is, when a lot of people think of Druid, they think you're manipulating the forces of nature, and they get all these high and mighty ideas, the wind and the rain, but really what you do, you can make real good booze. And then he offers the flask of Javik. Want to try? I mean,
Yes.
especially
grabbed the
if you like my
flask.
stuff. It's real good moonshine. It doesn't sit.
What was that, Bellic?
I would like to somewhat camaraderily pat. Sorry, what was the
It can
Druid's name
strip
again?
paint.
Tiberius
Scooter.
Scooter.
Sort of slap Tiberius a little bit on the shoulder and solemnly thank him for his assistance. And then I'll quietly sit down in a chair and
All right.
wait for, the pain to dull a little bit.
I'll hold the flask out to Bellic as he sits down.
Okay.
I'll-
And during this all, Ismark waits for you to get comfortable, waits for you to bust out your pipe and share a couple drinks. Just to let me know when you are all comfortably settled in.
As comfortable as I'm going to get. I mean, I'm sitting here smoking, looking grumpy, still covered
Take a
in
drink
dried
from the
blood.
flask.
Okay. When he speaks, he leans forward and speaks with a hushed tone. "I'm glad you came in, because I have to be quite frank. There are ears in this town that would be very angry at what I am about to propose. I am Ismark. I am the son of the burgomaster of this town. My sister, my adopted sister, is Irina, and we have a problem. I am looking for somebody who can, number one, calm her down and kind of protect her, and number two, I'm looking for somebody who can escort her out of this village. Her life is in danger here.
Can I tell you what happened when we first came here and accepted a task from the people that we had just met?
Tinad, go ahead. I understand if it was unpleasant. It seems
Unpleasant
many things
is
are.
a very gentle way of putting what we have just been through. And I point my thumb over the back of my shoulder towards the door.
Chuckle, like, not a funny chuckle.
Well, granted, this place ain't ever pleasant, but if someone
My
really
friend
needed
is
help,
dead because of this place. And because we accepted the first asking of help that we came upon in here. My friend is dead, and he won't have any sort of body to bury, because we will never go back into that house.
His
We
face
have
grows.
had a very, very long day. So
His face
if you're going
grows
to offer
ashen.
us a job, and I hold up my finger to silence him,
Yes.
if you are going to offer us a job, I would encourage you, it is in your own best interests to be absolutely clear about what we need to do. Because if it turns out like the last job, none of my friends are going to be the ones that are dead. We will be coming for you. Am I clear?
He nods. I understand, and I am sorry for your loss, my friend. This land is a dangerous one, and unfortunately, while I would like to go into more detail here, this is still a public place. However, if you are at all interested in this job, at least accompany me home so you may meet my sister, and so I may tell you about the job in more detail. I will provide payment up front in this matter.
We need a place to rest.
And you will be granted one. You may stay at my father's mansion. It is just down the road.
Question for you. The doors in this mansion, are they whirling scythe blades or are they just wood?
He shakes his head. No, would that they were, unfortunately. It seems, as I said, my sister's life is in danger, and if I could make my home a stronghold, I would.
I draw a deep sigh, and I look to Bellic and to Hames. Input?
Doesn't hurt to hear the man out, and he has offered us a place to stay.
We can at least rest, and if we turn him down, we will be upfront about it.
All right. Well, we'll hear you out then.
Yes.
And then I
You
look
are under-
over at
Yeah.
the those three colorfully dressed guys. I kind
You
of just
see
glance
that-
over my shoulder at them.
They seem to be solidly trying to do their own business, like basically chatting under their breath. And
They're trying not to be
And,
overheard.
yes,
I ask him, who are those guys?
those are the Vistani. They are wanderers usually. However, they do have a owning interest in this particular tavern. They are also servants of our Lord Count Strad von Zarvik.
I am vaguely familiar with that name.
Most in this land are, yes.
All right. Well, then I turn to Tiberius. And I say, congratulations, you're it.
it.
We need a healer.
Oh, I see. All right, I see what
I'm
you're
guessing.
saying.
I'm just guessing. You won't turn down this gentleman's offer of honest coin for honest work. And then I look at the
Yeah.
guy we were talking to, assuming the work is honest.
No, I assure you, it is the most honest of work.
We'll see.
Man, I ain't much for them highfalutin rich types, but honest work, honest days paid, honest work.
All right. And does anybody have anything else to add before he rises?
No, I watched the three colorful people as we leave.
You know this is going to bleed into my speech and my normal day-to-day life now, right?
I hope
You're the
not.
one that picked that character. All right. As Ismark does leave, the other three men on the table there do give you another glance. Ismark leads you to the door quietly and out. He heads southward at a reasonable pace down the street, just enough for everybody to catch up. Nobody has to really hustle. The streets are still as quiet as ever. You hear a distant pair of dogs growling and barking in the distance, and that same continuous sobbing from a townhouse that is not actually that far removed from the square.
Does
Because
he take
as-
any notice of the sobbing as we walk, or does he just like
he
totally
does.
pretend it's not there?
He shakes his head as it gets louder and louder, and just says under his breath, "Poor woman, poor woman."
What's that about?
He waves his hand. That unfortunately, that's Mad Mary. Her daughter disappeared some time ago, and she has just not got over it. She kept her so secure for so many years, and then I fear that she has vanished.
All right.
And he
Sounds
just
like
shakes
this
his
town's got a whole lot going on.
He shakes his head and continues onward. He heads he heads onward to the south and past many relatively abandoned buildings. About a half dozen on either side. It looks like the village is not that large. There's maybe 8 or 9 streets in it, most of which are in the northern part. And as he heads south, he approaches a house that is notably larger than the others. It's a weary-looking mansion squatting behind a rusted iron fence. The gates are twisted and torn as if a great claw had ripped them asunder. The right gate lies cast aside on the floor, while the left swings lazily in the wind, suspended only from one hinge. The stuttering squeal and clang of the gate repeats with a mindless precision, as if driven by a breeze that is not quite there. Weeds choke the ground and press with menace upon the house itself. Yet against the walls the growth has been tramped down to create a path about the domain, as if somebody had circled it many times. Heavy claw markings have stripped the once beautiful finish off the walls, and great black marks tell of the fires that have assailed the outer facade of the mansion. Not a pane nor a shard of glass stands in any of the windows. Instead, all have been barred and boarded up with planks, each one marked with stains of evil omen.
You have a lot of visitors?
Ismark nods. Unfortunately, yes. As I said, my sister's life is in danger. My family is under siege. And
Well,
he heads...
Let's
he
go
heads-
inside and have a rest. You can tell us about this danger.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
learning more about it's a good idea right now.
He heads right up to the front door. What do you guys do?
I'm gonna
Well,
follow right behind him.
Throughout this entire time, Bellic has been moving very slowly. He's been leaning heavily on his spear as he goes, probably dragging one of his legs that still feels a little paralyzed, and just basically trying to focus on getting where he needs to go.
Okay.
I'm at the tail end, just making sure Bellic gets. If he needs help, I tell him he can lean on me, and we'll follow in Tiberius into the house. Not Tiberius, Bismarck.
Okay. Ismark, he does move slowly enough that nobody should have trouble keeping up. As he approaches the manor, his own face goes a little bit ashen, as if a incredible weariness is set upon him. He knocks upon the door, and after a moment, a woman's voice calls out, "Who is it? Who is it?" Ismark says, "It's me, sister. It's Ismark. Please let us in. I have friends with me." After a moment, there's a rattle as several locks are undone, one by one, just as if you've ever ever seen somebody trying to unlock a New York apartment, so to speak. Just click, 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 click all the way down. The door opens to reveal a striking young woman with long auburn hair. She is somewhat pale, as if she has been ill. She is of a fine figure in a richly appointed gown. She has, however, a sword at her side, similar to the one that Ismark wears. About her neck there are several symbols, all of which display the same odd sun pattern, similar, kind of like the ones that you took off of the fellows that you had initially come across during your wolf hunt. As she sees Ismark, she steps aside and beckons the group in.
Bellic immediately stands straighter and looks less hurt.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna walk in and just offer the woman a respectful nod. Ma'am?
Alright, she nods to each of you in turn, allowing you to step past and into the interior. The inside of the mansion is well furnished, yet the fixtures show signs of great wear. Noticeable oddities are the boarded-up windows from the outside and the presence of holy symbols in every single room. There is a drawing room immediately adjacent to the entry room, and you smell very strongly the scent of garlic and a very subtle scent of decay. Ismark steps in and glances towards that side room, and he bows his head, shaking it. And he just basically waits for everybody to enter.
So he's looking at this side room with the door shut? Or is it just a room that leads off?
It is a side room, and the door is not shut. You can see kind of the flicker of candlelight from within, as if many candles were lit rather than just one or two.
So he kind of like sighed and shook his head as he looked at the room?
Yeah, to the side room, not to the room.
I'm going to give him a bit of a quizzical look, prompting an explanation.
He'll wait until everybody is inside before speaking in a soft tone. That is my father. He was slain several days ago, and we have not been able to find anybody to help us bury him. Irina immediately chimes in. Yes, I refuse to leave him to just rot in here. We need to see him set in the ground immediately. Ismark just gives a kind of shrugging look. I would if I could, but we've had nobody to help us.
Where's your shovel?
Irina looks at you. I have a few shovels, but I would really very much prefer it if we put him to rest on hallowed ground. Those creatures out there will dig him up if we do not. They've already done it once. She gives a glare to Ismark, who just holds his hands up.
I give a little shudder.
Just how much hallowed ground is there in this town? Because it don't seem very hallowed to me.
Irina chimes up. There is a church. There is a church. It's on the north end of town. The priest Donovic there is a very, very kind man. Ismark shakes his head. The man's mad. The man has gone mad since his son was taken from him. I don't know what you expect, at which point they go into a kind of a back and forth.
I'm going to go to the front door and make sure that those locks are locked.
Okay, they'd actually got distracted before locking all those locks, so you can go about.
Yeah, I'm going to click, 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 slide all the chains, do the thing, make sure it's all locked up.
Firstly, I would like to extend my condolences to both of you for your recent loss.
They both grow quiet as Bellic begins to speak.
I would like to thank you very much for your kind hospitality in our time of need when the two of you are so obviously grieving and in dire straits yourselves. It's very much appreciated, and I wanted to say thank you.
The woman bows her head and sighs, just rubbing at her temples. I'm sorry for the outburst. It's been a very stressful time for all of us. Ismark nods and says, "Yes, I promise you a place to rest, and a place to rest you have. You may rest here as long as you wish until you get enough strength to do whatever you may need. I will fill you in more on our situation, but first if you wish to get cleaned up, if you wish to take a moment to gather your breath, to have a bite to eat if you wish, we can provide that, and then I will tell you the situation we're facing here.
All right. What I would like to do,
Okay?
I would like to get the dried blood off, clean myself up. I'd like to get a meal into me. It's been a little while. I've had nothing but nuts and jerky for the last couple of hours. We'll sit down. We'll talk about your problem. And after that, I'm going to need to rest.
Okay. Ismark nods. Yes, of course. All of that can be provided. I will show you the way. And
All right,
if
then.
anybody else has any input,
Yeah,
I'd like the same.
Yeah, I'm with them on that. And while we're at it, I'd like a rundown on what you guys are about, what you've been through, what you're doing here, and what you have to do.
yes.
There's more to you than just.
I will definitely get into that. Let me get
He was
you.
talking to the party.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the
was talking to
party.
the party.
Okay, the party.
Because
okay.
if I'm
So
one
it-
of you guys, I need to know who you are, aside from these people who bleed a
Alright.
lot and like my boots.
All right. Ismark will let you get onto that. He will show you each to a guest room. There are baths which can be filled with water individually, not running water. He's got like heated water. He'll provide a meal, and you can go ahead and take your rest. But for now, between now and then, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. So we'll do a 10-minute break, and we will see you all when we get back. All right. Thank you for watching for now. We will be right back.